Hey guys, I'm back doing another episode of Couch Chats, which is in fact me sitting on my couch having a chat. Now, in the past, I did have guests on, and it is something that I do want to have again in the future. But in an attempt to stop procrastinating and get back out here, I decided that I would start doing them solo in the beginning again. And I had a very good reminder from my son the other night about creating the life that we want and just getting out there and just starting. And it doesn't have to be perfect. Now, a backstory to Couch Chats. I was recording, I had guests on. Through that process, I met other people that wanted me to start a podcast with them, which I did. It burnt to the ground. Everything crashed in a heap. It was an absolute disaster. So much time and effort and work went into that collaboration that when it did crash down, it just made me just step back for a moment and reassess what I wanted. Because I started podcasting because I love it. And then when I started doing it with other people, it became more of a job. It took the joy out of it. And then when it all crashed and burned, I just didn't want to do it anymore for a while. But it's been something that I've been thinking about again for a little bit. And it's something that I really do want to do again. And when I was having this conversation with my son, it just reminded me about who I am and what I've achieved in my life. And I've truly achieved so much. And when I said to him I wanted to start doing it again, and I didn't want to just do it by myself because it was weird, me just talking to a camera. And he said, well, just talk like you're talking to me. And I was like, oh, but that's weird. And it kind of is. It kind of feels weird, just me talking to a camera. But I have stories to tell, I have words to speak. And sometimes it's just the best way to get them out. And I did say to him, I don't even know where to start on my story and what I want to talk about. And he reminded me of so many different things. And he's like, what about the time you had a kid at 17? What about the time you lived in a caravan park and all your things got stolen? And he rattled off all these different things. And he said, what you need to remember is that all the things that you've been through haven't defined you. Because I said to him, I feel like I'm living in this nightmare right now. And I feel like I'm a loser because I haven't achieved what I want to achieve. Because I did lose everything and I've had to rebuild and I've had to start over. And because I'm not where I want to be, I feel like I've let myself down. I've let everyone down around me. And I feel like such a loser to be where I am at this age, in comparison to where I believe I should be and where I expected myself to be. And he said, but Mum, you had a choice in those moments. You had the choice to let those things that you've been through destroy you. But you made a choice to let them define you in the best possible way. And it's just a reminder of how we all have choices in these moments. And I really did have choices in those moments of directions I could have gone in. And when I literally lost everything and had to start over, I started over with more fire and determination and strategy than I ever did before. But I could have gone the opposite way. Just like when I had a child at 17. I could have been the stereotypical stigma associated with being a single parent. And although I didn't do everything perfectly, I made a lot of mistakes along the way. I could have been a completely different person than I am now. I always chose the path of bettering myself, trying to educate myself. And I remember when I was so young saying to my mum, it really is the hardest choice to make. The easy choice is to stay where you are or drop your standards. That is the easy solution, because when you stay where you are or when you lower your standards, you don't piss off or intimidate the people around you. But when you make a choice to be a better person, put yourself in a better place, a better environment, have yourself around better people, that is really the most difficult decision you can ever make. It becomes very isolating because you quickly outgrow your space. You outgrow the people around you. You outgrow your job. You outgrow your friends, your family, everyone. It can be so isolating to move through that space. And it's difficult in the way of changing so many things about who you are and who you no longer want to be to get to where you need to go. For me, I had to change so many parts of myself to get where I am today. And I'm not saying don't be yourself. I'm saying become the best version of yourself. So everything that I am now is me. It's the me I always wanted to be. It's the me that I always knew that I could be, but didn't feel like I could be because of things that I originally let people define me as, like an uneducated, broke single mum, for example, which I was once upon a time. So when I bought my first house, I broke that stigma initially. To be in the job that I am today is something that a lot of people are just handed. I've had to really work for this. I've had to change the way I speak. I've had to change my level of education. I've had to change the people I associated myself with, the circle I ran with. And I look at those people who I used to run with, and where their lives are now and where my life is now. And I'm really proud of myself for the choices that I've made. And I'm proud that I have survived the loneliness and isolation associated with the decision to make these changes. My son reminding me of these things had such an impact on me for so many reasons, because it showed me that everything that I have been doing has had an impact and an influence, because it was like he was speaking the words back to me that I've spoken to so many people for so long. They're the words that I've said to other people because they're the words I've always wanted said to me. And to hear him say it back to me, whether he learnt it through me or someone else, it was still so much of what I try and instill in other people. And I really needed to hear that from him. And he's like, you're not sharing your voice because there's something holding you back. What are you afraid of? And there's always something that we're afraid of when we're making that decision to be who we really want to be. There really is a fear associated with it. Putting yourself on a public forum and speaking out, there is so much fear associated with that because you're being seen, you're being heard, which sometimes they're all the things that you want. But the reality of that happening is daunting and scary, because once you're seen and once you're heard, you're open to other people's opinions, which aren't always kind. And that's something that's taken me a really long time to adjust to. I would come on and I would speak, and then sometimes I'd pull back out of fear, and then I would open up again and I'd pull back, and I'd go in and out and in and out, and this tug of war with myself. But I'm no longer in that tug of war, because there is this beautiful life that I want to live, full of excitement and creation. And to do that, you have to be brave. You have to be vulnerable. You have to show the world who you really are. You have to let your creations be seen and heard. And I encourage everyone to take that step. It is scary. It is challenging. Sometimes it's painful. But when you come out the other side, you will truly live the free life that you are entitled to.